Six, five, four, three, two, one, go.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Wassalatu wassalam Rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. So, family, we've talked about several times about the economic situation that's going on internationally, particularly in the U.S. The old, you could say, colonial powers have essentially shifted power structures, you could say. International power right now is in the hands of private individuals, a few private individuals who hide behind the cover of politicians, and they are now the owners and controllers of financial capital and wealth. Okay, there's very few private individuals, and so we are seeing this. The proof of this are the types of wars and assassinations going on throughout the world today. Notably, what happened in Haiti, where private organizations went into Haiti and assassinated a whole president. Okay, there was not government run, and then we see what's going on in terms of the Middle East, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Ethiopia, where engineering contractors are dipping their feet in geopolitics and causing entire wars in whole countries for contracts and stuff. Okay, so now we mentioned before that with the rise of the BRICS nations, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Okay, with the rise of the BRICS nations and the rise of their currency, we mentioned in terms of the U.S., what's going to end up happening is you're going to see trillions of dollars head back to the U.S., and that is going to cause not just well, it's already started anyways. Like it's too late. The writing's on the wall on that one. Okay, which is why over here in most Western countries that everybody's feeling the pinch and nobody's talking about it. Everybody, even just from within a few months, recognizes when they go do their shopping, they can see very clearly the sharp increase of the goods that used to buy even just a few months ago through inflation. Okay, so we mentioned all of this right in past videos. We talked about it in great length and great detail. Okay, and on top of that, what we see now is going on in Palestine. Okay, now Palestine will be, in my humble opinion, that is going to be the fuse that's going to blow up the powder keg. What's happening in Palestine? We mentioned before the only reason why the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan is because of China. We mentioned that. Okay, all these geopolitical things that we mentioned in great detail. So now, what we're talking about today is the continuation of this trend and the old colonial political powers acting erratically and reacting to their power essentially weaning and waning. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this video and then we're going to get into the article, inshallah. So, like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Let's get into it, okay? Let's go.
On sanctioning Niger, and they're not, unfortunately. The European Union is working on sanctioning Niger, and they're not, unfortunately, the only ones. ECOWAS already has put on sanctions which the EU supports fully, and they said that they support ECOWAS fully in what they're doing to Niger, even though what ECOWAS...
Okay, so if y'all are missing it, the European Union is putting sanctions on Niger. Okay, all this is coming out today. And who is backing them up? Remember, we mentioned about the old economic powers, right? Who is backing them up? It is ECOWAS, right? For those of y'all who don't know what ECOWAS stands for, it stands for the Economic Community of West African States. So what you are seeing is the old colonial powers using their puppets and their the leaders that they have placed in West Africa to try to put economic pressure on Niger for certain coups that happen that have essentially stopped the flow of free flowing natural resources from Africa to France. So now they are in full-fledged panic mode. So let's keep watching, y'all.
is doing to Niger is unacceptable in the eyes of Africans, not just Nigerians, but of course the European Union is going to support ECOWAS because at the end of the day, they're doing what they would have loved to do. Some claim that they're even the ones puppeteering the people that are making this decision against Niger, which is so unfortunate and sad. Okay, let's say European Union wants to sanction Niger. It's not a surprise, it's not something new, it's not shocking to us because we've seen it happen time and time again. But for the ECOWAS, Niger's neighboring countries, to do this to their own brothers and sisters is just beyond unacceptable. And
now, for those of y'all who don't know, Africans, not just in West Africa, but throughout the continent in general, and even the descendants of slaves are fully supporting Niger. They're fully supporting Burkina Faso. They're fully supporting, these West African countries, who have almost in unison kicked out the French and had these coups. Mali, you're talking about Mali. You're talking about Guinea, right? You're talking about all these West African countries, all of the Muslim countries, mind you, except for Gabon. Gabon is the only one that's a Christian country, right? And all of them have ousted their puppet leaders at the same time. And the people within those countries will happily go through the sanctions which they are expecting from Europe. So now what this has done, it has shown Africans who the puppets are and aren't with ECOWAS. Okay? They've shown, and the African people will not support ECOWAS in this at all. So it is likely that this whole strategy of sanctioning will fall flat on its face, particularly when recently, I believe it was Niger and Burkina Faso, they have signed trade deals with Russia. So this old type of, mind you, the method of sanctioning has been used as a weapon against African countries since colonial times, since they carved up Africa. Europeans carved up Africa and decided that they were going to be the benefactors of the human resources and the natural resources that are coming out of the underneath the free feet of Africans, while Africans are enslaved on their own land, digging up resources to send to Europe. Pro Africa in Africa, and who is not. And this is something that you can't just walk back. You cannot just walk back. It is very clear and very obvious that ECOWAS now has European interests at heart, not West African interests at heart. So let's keep watching, y'all.
Africans are not really happy with this and are speaking up against this injustice. Actually, Niger's prime minister called this injustice.
To kamar batun tattalin arziki saboda takunkumi da kasashen ECOWAS suka sawa Niger, kamar yaya kuke fuskantar abubuwa na gwamnati a yau da kullum? Wannan rishin adalci na wannan kasashe ba a taɓa ma wata ƙasa a duniya ba kamar yadda aka mana. Wannan takunkumi da aka sa na hana shigo da magani da al'umma za su yi aiki da shi, da abinci da za su.
So I want y'all to see what this man is saying, right? Because the world right now is focused on Palestine. And the world is seeing right now what's going on in Palestine in terms of, we're going to rewind this again, right? One more again, okay? And I'm going to read it out to y'all if y'all can't read it, all right? I'm going to read it out to y'all and I'm going to read the translations, okay? Okay, so the interviewer is asking, how have you been managing to run the government? Right? Basically asking about the sanctions, right?
Abubuwa na gwamnati a yau da kullum. Rishin adalci.
So the prime minister, I think is the prime minister of Nigeria now, the sitting prime minister or president or whatnot, the injustice of these countries has never been done to any other country in the world. Yeah, the prime minister is Niger, okay, is Ali Lamine Zain, okay?
Ba a taɓa ma wata ƙasa a duniya ba kamar yadda aka mana.
Now listen what he's saying.
Wannan takunkumi
like the sanctions that were imposed on us to prevent the importation of medicines. Remember, we keep telling y'all that this apartheid system is a copy and paste system. If y'all don't understand white supremacy, nothing else is going to make sense. They prevent the importation of medicine. You know, this stuff that they do to Africans, that they are now doing to Palestinians, has been done over and over and over and over and over and over again to Africans. And now that the focus is on Palestinians, and the world cannot ignore to what's going on with the Palestinians because we are witnessing genocide in real time. I want y'all to research what the British did in Kenya, the Mau Mau. Research what those animals did. Research what they did to produce Lumumba. These are copy and paste systems. Let's keep watching, y'all. Cutting off of food and electricity. Does any of this sound familiar? Does any of this sound familiar? For those of y'all who are old enough to remember when the Iraq War started and the severity of the sanctions that was put on the Iraqis, up until importing pencils was made illegal. by the United States. You know why they made importing pencils illegal? Pencils, you're talking. You know why they said it? Because they said that the pencils can be used to make gun triggers. So we're going to make importing of pencils illegal. Can you imagine? And the countries that sided with the United States, and you're talking about some rinky-dink countries, they ended up getting lucrative contracts to go into Iraq and rebuild after they tore that country down. They sent private military contractors as security forces, and these private military contractors like Blackwater and whatnot were getting paid hand over fist, doing the same job as the military soldiers, exact same, no different, but getting paid 3, 4 times, 5 times more than the actual soldiers who were under the government. This caused an exodus of soldiers to become mercenaries. Y'all hearing me? The things that this enemy does, just because you're seeing it for the first time in Palestine, don't mean they wasn't doing it before. Okay? You just seeing it now. You are just seeing it now. Because, quite frankly, nobody care about no Africans. If you're dark, ain't nobody gonna put no attention on it. When they were inoculating Africans with HIV by the millions they were doing this. And they turn around and said that black Africans were having intercourse with monkeys, and that's how AIDS spread. That's what they did. They went and they told these Africans, we're giving you wellness shots and inoculating them with HIV/AIDS. Y'all don't know. You don't know this enemy. You don't know. You were just seeing him for the first time now in Palestine. How many YouTubians out there shucking and jiving and shaking their butt cheeks to get in the good graces of alt-right influencers, not knowing that every single alt-right influencer just happens to be pro-Zionist. All of them, without exception. And now they're trying to quietly walk their relationships with Jordan Peterson, quietly walk back their interviews with Valuetainment and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Quietly walk back, inviting Jesse Peterson to their platforms. You don't know this enemy. You don't know this enemy. They have been doing this for a long, long time. Brother Hanif Davis, okay, Neely Fuller Jr., he's referencing when I said, if you don't understand white supremacy, nothing else will make sense to you. From the late, great Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. These are copy and paste systems. And so if they do it in one place, you best believe they've been doing it to Africans long before they did it to anybody else. You best believe that. They've been practicing on black folk way before anybody else. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Da abinci da za su da yanke wuta. Kai ko a cikin
This is inhumane even in times of war.
yaki da ake yi.
That's what he
Wannan
said.
ba zan dawo
I will not talk about the issue because our president
ba saboda shugaban kasar mu General Chani yayi
Chani made a statement about it.
ko Ukraine da ake
Even
yaƙi ai tun da
Ukraine, which
ba a
is
zo aka
facing
ce za
war,
a
is
yanke.
not cut off from anything. You see how they practice warfare within them for themselves? Compare the Ukraine war, which has gotten billions and billions and billions and billions, to any war happening in Africa at any point in history. Compare this to that. Night and day. So now, here come the European Union in cahoots with African-looking people, but with the hearts of the Europeans, putting sanctions on people who look like them, who speak like them, speak the same language, have the same culture as them, have the same colonizer as them, have the same struggle as them. And they don't fight on behalf of the struggling. They fight on behalf of the ones who caused the struggle to begin with.
But we all know Western nations don't really care about what happens to the people of the country that they're sanctioning, as long as they're making their statement, as long as they are satisfying them.
Here's $1 million question. Here's $1 million question. Name one country, just one, that when Americans went and did what they ever had to do to free that country was made better because of the presence of Americans. Just name one. Just name one country that the people appreciated the presence of the Americans coming in and fighting for their freedom. Y'all need to understand how white supremacy works. Y'all need to understand how white supremacy works. Look how they're fighting in the Ukraine and compare that to all the nation building that they do in Africa. And yet still Ukraine can get billions. But I digress. We're going to read something. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon, y'all. We're going to read something. Let me just find the article here. Now, that is the European Union with your Sambo saviors of Africa, in conjunction with them, coming to save their white zaddies, to save the resources of their white zaddies in ECOWAS. Okay? Now, let me show y'all something. Get this. You cannot make this crap up. Look at here. This has been making big news today. Even I was just planning to just stick to my reading today. I need to catch up on my reading. Right? That's why I've been gone for a minute. I have to catch up on reading all my stuff. Right? But this is such big news. That's why we're doing this live today, because of this. U.S. to evict Gabon, Niger, Uganda, and Central African Republic from trade program. You cannot make this crap up. You cannot make this crap up. So on one end, you have the European Union trying to save France from going right back into the Dark Ages. Mind you, France will in fact go back to the Dark Ages without Africa. Make no mistake about it. There are not enough Peugeots to be sold on Earth to save France from the huge economic meteor that's coming to hit it, because of their former colonies are tired of Zaddy's unwanted advances in Africa. They're tired. Every French colony is divorcing themselves from France. Mali's done with them. Burkina Faso's done with them. Gabon, even though it's questionable, but Gabon is allegedly done with them. Okay, Niger is done with them. They all done with them. They need to go and beg black Africans to come and save them now. And like the tools that these black African equals are, thinking about all the, like, what is a French franc going to do in about 10 years? It's going to be worth less than the toilet paper you wipe your butt with. Mark my words, people will be soon trading in toilet paper. They will prefer to do that than to trade in US dollars very soon. Very, very soon. And the French franc is coming right behind it. African countries are divorcing themselves from the franc, the African franc. They don't want it no more. But I digress. All these countries, Gabon, Niger, Uganda, Central African Republic, the thing that they have in common, other than kicking the French, I'm not sure Central African Republic or Uganda kicked them out, but the one thing they all have in common is that ain't none of them about that gay for pay stuff. Not a single one. Y'all hearing me? None of the black African countries are about gay for pay. Y'all hearing me? Why is this important? We're going to get to that in a minute. But also, I want you to read what Sloppy Seconds Slow Joe Biden has said about these African countries. Okay. U.S. President Sloppy Seconds Slow Joe Biden has stated his intention to halt participation of Gabon, Niger, Uganda, and Central African Republic in the African Growth and Opportunity Act, that's AGOA, trade program. You know what we say about that? You know what we say about that in the black grassroots? We say this. What else you want us to say? Every single financial anything you do in Africa, you make sure that you go in there with hostility and one-sidedness. You make sure that you go into Africa fully intending to enslave African people and make them work their entire lives for food and maybe a place to stay, so that they can extract the resources under their feet and send it to you, so that you can go build weapons in order to keep enslaving the very same people that you have looted and pillaged to begin with. This is not a bad thing, people. This is probably one of the best things that could have happened to Africa in a long, long, long time. You mean you are not going to send Africa aid no more? You're not going to trade with Africa no more? Oh my God. Could not be more elated. Let's hear the reason what sloppy seconds slow Joe Biden. Let's see the reasons, okay? The announcement on Monday comes as a response to what President Joe Biden describes as Joe Biden, mind you, he's describing as gross violations of internationally recognized human rights by the Central African Republic and Uganda. Additionally, he cited Niger and Gabon's inability to establish or make consistent progress in safeguarding public pluralism and the rule of law. You can't make this crap up. You cannot make this crap up. This Joe Biden actually said this. Okay? In a letter addressed to the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, President Joe Biden stated, despite intensive engagement between the United States and Central African Republic, Gabon, Niger, and Uganda, these countries have failed to address the United States' concerns of their non-compliance with the AGOA eligibility and criteria. Negro, you don't comply to your own laws, your own international laws. There is not a single law that you have made and written with your own hands that you hold the entire earth under arrest for if they don't follow that you have not broken. These people are not humans. They're not human beings, okay? They're not. To imagine that Joe Biden is talking about law, he's talking about non-compliance. Meanwhile, he is not just funding a genocide that is being displayed before the whole world with U.S. taxpayer dollars that the U.S. citizens had not asked for this genocide. They were not asked for their participation, but he is making sure to divert funds to go to this genocide and sending military support to this genocide. But he want to wag his crap-stained finger in the faces of African countries. This is one goofy Negro, man. But anyways, this is so insane. President Biden also expressed his commitment to continuously evaluate whether these nations meet programs eligibility requirements. A goal initiated in the year 2000 offers qualifying countries that the privilege of duty-free access to U.S. market for their exports. Can you imagine? The U.S. would not have not a single export if it wasn't for Africa. The cobalt, the uranium, the the whatchamacallit, all the natural resources that are coming out of Africa and going straight to the States. The platinum, gold, California, you name it. Californium. Just ripping and raping Africa of all their natural resources from underneath their feet. Rubber, even people, okay? Taking it for free, mind you. Taking all these resources for free for them to manufacture them and sell it right back to Africans, and not the new stuff, mind you. What do they sell back to Africans? They sell the old, decrepit, crappy stuff that white folks have sent to the whatchamacallit, Salvation Army that they don't want. Like your granddaddy's whatchamacallit, a platform shoes from the 70s. That stuff. Your grandmama's bell bottoms. This is what they doing. Your funky uncle's 1973 Ford Pinto. This is what they're doing. So because Africa says we are no longer gay, we are never going to be gay for pay. Okay? We are not going to be gay for pay. There is not enough money in the world for you to send your NGOs to our people to be. We ain't Pakistan. Okay, that's what they're saying. How much did they send to Pakistan? 200 million? How much was it? Somebody look it up for me, please. Somebody find out how much they sent to Pakistan to be gay for pay, please. The U.S. Somebody look it up for me and put it in the chat, please. After saying, oh, hell no. We ain't doing that. Now, he acting like he actually doing something. When all he's doing, in the midst of Ukraine, in the midst of Palestine, in the midst of what China is doing right now in Asia, in the midst of all these immigrants coming in from South America and stuff. Now he trying to punish Africa too. Like what? What? Let me tell y'all something, man. The days of American influence, let alone global power, are over. And you black folk, especially you black folk in the US, the quicker you realize this, the better off you'll be, because those US dollars will very, 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 very quickly be worthless. And we're not talking later. We're talking very, very, very much sooner. Very much sooner. You will be forced into position to work together now, as much as you hate to work with each other now. You're going to be forced to work if you want to survive. John Jararavi, he says, is 32 billion direct support to Pakistan to make sure they are gay for pay. Gay for pay. Y'all hearing me? Let's read out this article. African governments and industry groups are advocating for an early 10-year extension of AGOA without alterations, aiming to provide assurance for business and the potential investors concerned about the future of AGOA. Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, boo-hoo.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye. Do you understand?
I don't think there is a better time that President Biden, this is, in my opinion, is a major gaffe. It is a major, major, major gaffe. But hey, we all know that President Biden, he ain't in charge. No president's in charge. The owners and controllers of financial capital, they are the ones who pay these people to carry out their agendas. And that's why money can be diverted from the American taxpayer to fund a televised genocide, which they did not ask for. That's how they're able to do that. That's how they're able, for y'all who don't know, the Republican Party was without a House Speaker. Suddenly, all hell breaks loose in Palestine. And just like that, they get a House Speaker. Why is this important? Why is this important, family? Because if the Republican Party was trying to hold the House under arrest, because now the Republican Party is actually the Trump MAGA party. Okay, they're no more Republicans anymore. Okay, what you have now is a far right element who is now in full control of the Republican Party. They're in total control of it now. The days of Democrats and Republicans are over. We're reaching a new era now. And I said this many, many times in the past. I said, you watch, the next president of the United States is going to be either Donald Trump or somebody like him. And I will probably be the last president you're going to see in the United States. And you're going to have something different, a totally different system. Mark my words. I said it, right? You have like 1 year left, okay? And it got nothing to do with no doom and gloom or nothing like that. If you read history, this stuff is not unique. It's not unique in history. It's happened time and time and time again. But I digress. The point is, the Republicans are the MAGA Republicans now. Okay? They are no longer the Republican Party of the past. Why is this important? Because when all hell broke loose in Palestine, not even just a few days later, all of a sudden, they found the will and the way to get a Republican speaker. Why is this important, family? It's important because you cannot pass a budget without a speaker. That was the whole point to begin with. They wanted to drag out, not putting a speaker as long as possible in order to put pressure on the government to somehow exonerate Trump from all his charges. Okay, that was a plan. That was a goal. Then Palestine breaks in and look at yeah, we got a speaker suddenly. Suddenly we got a speaker that everybody can agree on, just like that. And what is the first thing on the agenda before anything else? Before millions of homeless in the United States, before trillions and trillions of dollars in student debt, before hundreds and thousands, you know what the very first thing they talking about for the budget? Does anybody know? Who knows, y'all? Where are the intelligent black folk are? Where are y'all? What is the very first thing that they did? Thank you, Jandra. That was the very first thing that they did. Surprise. A surprise. And not only that, this was the suggestion to begin with. They want to cut billions of dollars from the IRS, okay, and send that money from the IRS to where? None other than Israel. A surprise. So what does this do? This does two things. If you have money not going to the IRS, guess what? You can't have the IRS chasing after billionaires for their taxes, correct? So these billionaires get a massive tax break at the same time sending money to Israel. You're talking about a wickedly wise devil here. Wickedly wise. You're talking about evil that you can't even comprehend. The way that these people think, it's beyond evil. These are truly demons clothed in the skin of humans. They are demon, you know the wolves in sheep's clothing? These are demons in human skin. You cannot make this crap up. Not even a couple of days after they were able to find a house speaker. Can you imagine that? All it took was the Zionist to put pressure on them, and we the Muslims now, man, Allah help us, I mean, Allah help us, I mean, man. While Zionists in Canada, while Zionists in the States are buying plane tickets to participate in the genocide that's happening in Palestine, Muslims out here sharing, arguments of YouTube videos with some social media mogul fighting against Piers Morgan or something like that. That's what we doing. That's what we doing. These people are playing for keeps. These people are not messing around. For those of y'all who used to be Christian, particularly black folk, remember when we used to be Christian? Remember how we used to pray to the God of Israel? Do y'all remember? We used to pray to the God of Israel. Black Christians, where you at? You know what I'm talking about. We used to ask the God of Israel to guide us and to help us and to get us out of all of this hardship that we going through. Where the black Christians, former black Christians at? Where you at? You know what I'm saying. The Israelis are using every method. They're using politics, propaganda, breaking every single international law in the face of all people watching and justifying it. They're using bombs, every method of warfare to wipe the Palestinians off the face of the earth. The Israelis are doing it. The Israelites are doing that. The Israelites are using every method to destroy their enemies, while black folk are praying to the God of Israel to destroy their enemies. You see the difference? You see the difference now? You see the difference in thinking? Does not Allah say in the Quran, He doesn't help a people until they help themselves? How do you pray without any action? You have to do both. You have to do both. You have to pray and you have to act. You don't just lay and pray. What are the Muslims doing? There's a massive disconnect. You're talking about a few people on earth with the Israelis, the Zionist Jews. Just a few people. Don't even make up 1% of the entire population on the planet. And they're causing all this destruction. You have the Muslims who make up, you could say, 1/5 to 1/7 of the planet's population. They're joining the fight with YouTube videos and stuff. It's just, I'm sorry, but anyways, that's why I don't want to talk too much about this thing. Because if I start talking, right, Allah help us. Allah help us. It's crazy, bro. It's straight up insane. But the point is that this Joe Biden can wag his finger in the face of black Africans, talking all this madness while taking bloody Jewish orders and money at the same time to not just fund a genocide with American taxpayer dollars, but to make sure the genocide is organized and unfettered. It's insane. Totally insane. So before we go, I'm going to read something for y'all. I don't know if I should read this today because it's getting kind of late. Maybe I'll do this another time because I had this book here. Fishes of an Economic Hitman. There's something I want to read from it, but it's getting kind of late. I'm going to put the link in. I think some of y'all want to join me. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Y'all can join me. Family, don't forget to support the channel. Do not forget to support the channel, y'all. You know very well that we're the only ones that are putting out this type of content. All right, so you got to support the channel. I know I'm looking dusty today. I know my afro's all messed up. But I work too. Okay, I got a job. And sometimes when you work, you're gonna have a messed up afro. Okay. All right, so like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. So looky here, family. We got brother up for 1 second, man. 1 second. Let me get him on here. This is so insane, bro. But honestly, I believe that this whole thing is going to backfire. It's going to backfire on America very, very bad. Right? Ain't nobody worry about treating your things just like that anymore. Right? There's a new day coming, and nobody really wants America to live like that anymore. Oh, I did that. Take that off. Okay, let's go. Where are we? Oh, here we go. There we go. Salaam Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Brother Abdullah. Hold on, I think you're muted. Let me just unmute you, bro. 1 second. You're muted. No, I can't. I think okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Turn off YouTube, bro.
Yep.
Turn off YouTube.
Yep. It's up for me. It's off for me. Can you hear me now?
I can hear it, but it's big echo. Are you sure it's off?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Now I can hear you good. Yep. So I was gonna say to you, your afro looks beautiful. You are a soldier in the field.
Inshallah.
You are a soldier in the field. No worries about that.
Jazakallah khair.
Brother, let me tell you something.
Mm,
You were talking about what the colonizers did when they were in Africa. And you
mm,
asked me the question earlier, have you ever seen anywhere that the United States go as an aid
mm.
and something good came out of it?
Yes.
Remember in 1990s, right before I left Somalia,
Mm.
they went in there to help Somalia, right?
Yep.
You know what happened to them. They
Mm.
went into helicopters and like tanks and
Yep.
F-16s, and people were like, "Are you coming to fight with us or help us?"
Yes.
Literally, straight up. And
Hmm.
then before you know, the war is started, and we kick their behind,
Exactly. Exactly.
and we send them home. So
Mm.
within that war, what a lot of Western media have never talked about was the humiliation that the Somali people have suffered
Mm.
within the European Union.
Mm.
Wallahi, I saw it live. They had a little brother, Somali kid.
Mm.
You know how you roast a pig or like a goat?
Mm.
They put it through a stick and they roasted him alive. And
Wow.
those who did it was the Italians and the Belgians.
They actually roasted him?
Yeah, they actually literally roasted him alive. And in
Wow. Now,
1998 or 2000, those
what year
soldiers
was that?
it was 1991.
You know, brother Abdullah, I'm going to tell you something. Okay.
Yeah,
Now, okay. Now, the brother Abdullah mentioned that in 1991, a Somalian child was roasted alive in Italy, right? Okay. There's a book called, if any of y'all have the time to this book, get this book. It's called The Delectable Negro. The
you're
book,
cutting out. You're cutting out. What is it
the
called?
the book is called
Uh-huh.
The Delectable Negro.
Okay.
The Delectable Negro. This book is about how white folks, you know, the origin of picnic. You know what the origin of picnic where it comes from.
Yeah, I learned from the comedians. Big Nick, big nigga.
Yes, that's actually where it comes from, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
When white folks would lynch black men,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
They would make it a big thing, and that's why you see so many pictures
Yep.
of even entire families would go to watch.
Will come up as a holiday, and then you see a brother
Yeah,
being hanged.
exactly. In the
Yep.
whole neighborhood, right,
Yep.
would come out.
Yeah.
Okay, and they would cook black people, roast them exactly how you're
La
mentioning,
hawla wa la quwwata illa
and eat
When
them.
it reminded me when you say this is a Kabia and based, it happened in
Yeah.
South Africa, it happened in Uganda, it
Mhm.
happened everywhere as
Everywhere.
late
Yeah.
as 1990. And
Mhm.
guess what? Here's the kicker. Those soldiers, Belgian soldiers and Italian soldiers, and they didn't do only to one kid, they did to a lot of kids.
I
And the
did not know that.
sisters, they took torchlights and they put it inside them alive.
Mm. Mm.
Alive, brother.
Mhm.
Wallahi,
Yeah.
alive. They took a torch, a big torch, and they
Mhm.
put it inside a sister
Mhm.
alive.
Yeah.
They put her head.
This thing that you're talking about right now. You see what
Yes,
I'm
the
saying?
torture
Copy and
that they
paste.
do. Yeah,
What I mentioned earlier in the actually about the Mao Mao, right?
yeah,
You know what the
yeah.
British used to do to the Kenyan women?
Yep,
They would have bayonets,
yeah,
right? You know what a bayonet is, like a long knife at the end of a gun, okay?
yeah.
And they would uh how do I say
Torture
this?
with it. Yeah, they put it in and they torture it with it.
Yes, yes, they would molest
Yeah.
these women with the bayonet.
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
Who thinks to do stuff like this? A human being does this? This is the superior race, y'all. This is the supreme race of out of all races.
And
These folks.
this is what they're fighting for up until today. They're really in their head. They think they can bring this thing back and do it like they did it before.
Yeah,
That's the kicker.
yeah. So when you're saying that stuff,
Yeah.
what happened to like I'm actually like I'm stunned because
I
I know this happened before,
Yeah, and I know.
but I didn't know
When
what
I
happened
saw
to
that,
Somalians.
wallahi, when I saw that and I read that, I've been following that for like the past 8, 9 years after 1990. Even when I was in college, I was following it. And the guys, the soldiers who did that, the Italians and the Belgians,
Mm.
they were brought in court in Belgium. Guess what the judge said?
What?
They were merely playing games with the kids. That was it, and they were let go.
Wow, you
That was the
see,
verdict.
you see, they protect each other.
Yeah,
They
that
protect
was the
each other,
verdict. That
and
was the
and this
verdict.
is why Black folk we need to wake up because you don't have any friends in this world, none.
Yep.
You know what I
And
mean?
you remember the cop in Afghanistan. He went
Mm.
to into a wedding and killed a whole family. He's in Washington, Seattle right now.
Wow.
He was
Wow.
judged. He was judged to say he was BTSD, whatever they call it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he had a mental issues.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
walking. He's walking free.
yeah, yeah. You know, the what you call the Tulsa, Oklahoma, the
The
massacre.
bomber. Yeah,
Yeah,
the bomber. Yeah,
yeah,
Timothy McVeigh. Timothy
yes.
McVeigh and Nicholas.
The
They
living
went.
survivors last year they went to take the Oklahoma government to court for
Yep.
reparations for what happened. Right?
Uh-huh.
You're talking about people who are 100 years old and over.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
one of them died a couple of days ago. Right? I
Uh-huh.
think he was 107 or something. I can't remember. Very very old people. Right?
Hmm.
You know what the government said? They
No.
said that well, since this happened so long ago, we can't do anything. Meanwhile, they're sending billions to Ukraine. Not even had nothing to do with America at all. They're sending billions to Israel, right? But this thing that happened in their own country under their own rulership and leadership
Yep.
happened too long ago. We can't do nothing
Brother,
about that.
wallahi, you said it earlier. You said it earlier. And you know what? Sometimes when I sit myself and think about these things,
Mm.
wallahi, I say to myself, I said, Allah is showing us a walking example right here in front of our eyes,
Yeah,
and none of us can see it.
yeah.
I mean, they were arguing with the same condition in Ukraine.
Mm.
The European lady came in front of the parliament and she was talking about Russia cannot cut the water, the electricity, and the food in Ukraine,
Mm.
and it's coming winter and all that stuff. And when they were doing, you think it's so human to do that, and I'm
Yes.
like, where is that side now?
Mm.
Now you are supporting a guy who said, "I'm gonna kill these animals." Number
Yeah,
one,
human animals. He said it
human animals. He
like
didn't even say
shamelessly.
human. He didn't even say human. He said animals.
Did,
He said we are
didn't think twice
humans.
about it.
Yeah, we are humans and we are fighting barbarians and animals and so
Mhm.
forth, right? And
Yeah.
he said we're gonna cut the water, the electricity, and everything else.
Yeah,
And you tell me now, all of a sudden you have a different heart,
yeah,
which is yellow, and now
yeah.
it's like, yeah, go ahead, do it.
Mhm. So Sister Tika, she put the name of the book. I just wanted to read it out. It's called The Delectable Negro. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Human Consumption and Homoeroticism in the U.S. Slave Culture. It's a 2004 book by Vincent Woodard, right? That's the book you got to get. I strongly encourage y'all, and I don't think it's very expensive anyways, right? And it has like, it's graphic. So you
I was
just,
just about to say, I hope we don't throw up when we're reading.
yeah, yeah. But, and they go through even the people up until this very day, right? They have souvenirs from the times of that Jim Crow period, where thousands of black folks were lynched because they used to keep body parts as souvenirs, and they would have it in pickle jars or whatnot. And some of these souvenirs are around up until this very day.
Subhanallah.
You
Brother,
know?
did you notice now you're talking about lynching? Lately, from 2000 up until now,
Mhm.
all the lynchings that took place in the USA have
Mhm.
never been solved. And normally,
Yeah, of course, not a single one. Imagine.
There was one last week, 2 weeks
Mm,
ago in Atlanta. A
mm,
sister was hanging right in front of her house, and
mm,
they were interjecting the idea, it was suicide. And I'm
Suicide,
like,
yeah.
yeah, you haven't even done anything. You haven't done even like a 1 ounce of like investigation,
Investigation. Yeah.
and all of a sudden you are feeling in our minds and in the TV and everything suicide.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let me say that one is suicide. What about the other 20 that took place in
Yeah.
California, in Mississippi, in Alabama? All
Hmm.
of them, they suicide
Yeah.
that the family don't know and nobody knows about it.
Hmm. But if you say that, that's Marxism, bro. So be careful.
Subhanallah,
If you,
subhanallah. Look,
that's
I
Marxism.
that's
Don't
why
be a
today,
Marxist. Don't be a
nowadays,
Marxist.
nowadays, like I said last time, the other day, I wrote a comment on Facebook in
Mm,
French, and I said, MF, Yahudis, right, in
mm,
French. And then they called me. They said no. And I turned around after 1 hour later, and I said, MF Hamas.
mm.
It went through.
Wow,
And,
wow.
and I was like, yep, they control the media, they control the TV. Now they're telling us
Mm.
you can't say that. And if you do that, they're gonna go after you, your job, where you work,
Yeah,
where
of
you
course.
live. They're gonna cut it. And I'm like, if they can do that, what's left for us?
Hmm. Of
Wallahi,
course.
subhanallah, sometimes I'm thinking about, I say, you know what? Now we know what these people are about. He said, you said Niger and Uganda and all these countries have been kicked out from whatever commerce thing. I'm like, who
Mm.
needs them? I'm like, nobody needs you. Whether and it's clear. The only thing that stood up to me was Uganda. Uganda president told them, we don't care about your lifestyle. Take it. We don't need you.
Yes.
We don't need this crap that you have, and it's not
Yes.
going to work in Africa. Now all of a sudden he's public enemy number one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are you doing us a favor or are you doing us this favor? What is your
Hmm.
point?
Yeah.
What are you trying to
As
get
a
from
matter
us?
of fact, I think that's an amazing favor that the U.S. is doing for Africa at this point in time. Because to be quite honest, U.S. needs African resources now more than ever. So
No
they just
doubt.
shot their own self in the foot.
Yep.
You know
And
what I
guess
mean?
what? Guess what? That's why they're going after China.
Yes, of course.
Because China is everywhere in the world right now and
Mm.
they can do nothing about it.
Yeah.
So now it's like instead of me fighting with little Africa, little Caribbean, little everywhere where China is, let me
Mm.
attack the China themselves and tell them,
Mm.
hey, back off.
Mm.
If
But
you're
now
being
this thing with
honest,
Israel now, they're going to focus strictly on that because they cannot because Israel's the big zaddy. Right? They're the really big zaddies. They control the banking system. They control politics and pretty much everywhere they go. Right? The propaganda lines. Like all these propagandists. Like even Mark Zuckerberg, Jewish. All these propaganda channels. They're all Jewish channels and whatnot. Politics, whatnot. They need. That's the big zaddy, right? So
yeah. So what really surprises me is like, why are we asking on the platforms, the Zaddies, their platforms, their work, their jobs, their
yeah.
everything? I'm like, how do you expect them to be justice to you?
Mm.
No way, it will never happen.
Yeah.
Like
But
you
these
said,
these guys,
they
these
are
guys,
taking.
bro, they're like, this is nothing new with them at all. Nothing new. But they're in full panic mode now.
But you know what? You know what? Nothing stays the same in this world.
Mm,
Every power that came through from the
mm,
Romans, from whatever you call them, has Allah says, وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَامُ نُدَاوِلُ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. And I
mm.
ask Allah, wallahi, that He makes this time our time.
I mean,
Wallahi, I ask Allah to make this time our time.
and we will leave it at that, brother Abdullah. Any last words you want to say before we chime out today?
Jazakallah khair, Jazakallah khair. I'm planning to come to Toronto in this coming spring break. We call it spring break here in the US, April, and I will get in touch with you when I'm there, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, no problem. My pleasure, man. My pleasure. Hayakumullah. All right,
Inshallah,
family. Jazakallah khair. Thanks for everybody to come through tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Don't forget to support your brother on Buy Me a Coffee or PayPal or whatever it is. And we will see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna do. I think we're doing a major live tomorrow. If this is a topic I planned, then and I just check my schedule. We're gonna do some really, really good one tomorrow. All right, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And was Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.